In this episode, we set up a little soul sand farm using Super Factory Manager. Then we make a mob killing chamber that automatically kills mobs, sorts the loot, and even collects experience. Whoa, one got out. Let me get that guy. Come on, where are you? There you go. We will fix and improve on this design in between episodes so we don't have that issue anymore. We also clear up our power generation so it is wireless and dependable. Hello, it's me again. First order of business, let's actually fix our power situation over here because I would like to be able to use my wireless connector and not have to run back here all the time. We need to get into some wireless power, first of all. And I'm going to use Power to do that. You can also use Flux Networks. Flux Networks works well. But Flux Networks doesn't work with Super Factory Manager. Super Factory Manager can only move things from inventories that have a internal buffer, and Flux Networks does not have that. So you'd have to put down like an energy cube for mechanism and then put the Flux plug or point on top of that. But if we use Power, we can just use the ender cells, and those will be fine for us for now. You can see these things require ender cores, which are made in the energizing orb. Not a bad recipe. I am going to make, I don't know, like 20 of these. And all we have to do is throw the ingredients inside of our barrel, and Super Factory Manager will automatically craft it for us. If you missed how this is set up, make sure you check out the previous episode. I cover that in that episode. And with those, we can make these ender cells. And the ender cell, the way it works is you can feed power into it and then use ender gates to put power inside of machines. The ender gates can actually accept power as well, but you do need to create a channel first for it before anything can work. And that's done by putting a battery of your choice inside of the cell to give it some capacity. And I think I want to make the 100 million one. So let's make that one. So the starter one is 1 million FE. Then it goes up to 4 million, so on and so forth. And if you make the Niotic one, that's 100 million FE. The input output of this battery doesn't matter once it's inside of the ender cell. You select whatever channel you want to create. I'm going to select just channel 1 and then shift right click and the battery will go in there. So now you can see it has 100 million FE buffer, and we can put that with our system over here. For now, I'm just going to plop it on top here, and you can see this is going to start filling up, and we're going to get power generation, or these guys are getting emptied, so they're starting to work again. And we do have issues with lava. We need to make more. As you can see, these 9 crucibles can barely keep up with just one of these spirited magmators. So I need at least 9 times the amount of crucibles, but I'm actually going to switch. Instead of using crucibles, we'll use the fluid drawers with dripping upgrades. But anyways, sticking to the point. So this guy's almost full of 100 million FE, and that means we can power all of these things, like our applied energistics, with ender gates. So I'll make some ender gates, and we can just plop one on top of this and make sure it's on that same channel and it's going to be powered. So now we can get rid of our wind generator and make sure I had nothing in there. Yep. And if we take our wireless thing, we can set this back up because we have enough power now. Now we do need a way to charge our wireless crafting terminal. And I'd like to do that wirelessly so I don't have to like put this in machines. And Power actually has a solution for that. It's the player transmitters. And in order to make the player transmitters, the first one requires this aerial pearl, which you have to use the aerial pearl on a zombie or a husk. So we're going to need a zombie and a husk, and then in there you put these blank cards. And to make the binding card, it requires rotten flesh. So we're at a point that we're going to need mobs, and to make it cross-dimensional so it works in every dimension, you need to click on an Enderman for it. And I also want to make a compact machine that we can put our power generation inside, because we're going to have I'm going to set up 64 fluid drawers to produce lava. And these guys require slime for the sticky pistons. And slime can be crafted using milk, the slime block, inside of barrels. So you mix water and milk together, you can get a thing. So we're also going to need a cow. Now, the old way of doing monsters, mob generation in other skyblocks, was you would make like the little platform and put slabs down to block the light and mobs would spawn. That doesn't work anymore because of how Minecraft changed, and slabs actually allow light through. So the only way you can do it now is either if you completely cover it so it's pitch black inside, and mobs will spawn, and then you'll have to break to get into it. And that takes time, and it's not, there's a much better way of doing it, and that's by using gateways. So if you take a look at the gateways mod, there's a bunch of these different gateways. The one we want is the gateway of the Emerald Grove, which is just an eye of Ender in any type of flower. So we can make one of those. And what this does basically is you click the gateway on a block and it opens the gateway and spawns a wave of mobs. And then at the end of each wave, if you are successful in defeating the enemies, it will give you a reward. And if you complete the entire gateway, there's like a big reward at the end of everything. You can hold shift on these guys to see exactly what it's going to spawn. So the first wave of this one is going to spawn 5 zombies, and their modifiers are plus 25% health. So they'll have 25% more health. And when you kill all 5 of those zombies, you will get 16 hay bales. And then moving on, we're going to get spiders, more zombies and spiders, and then we'll get a necrotic farmer. And once you're done, your key rewards are that it's going to spawn all of those passive mobs. So we'll get 6 cows, 6 chickens, 6 sheep, and 6 pigs. So that's what we're going to do. I don't want to just randomly spawn it anywhere and fight them manually. I had an idea. I want to use Crystalix. So this is a really cool mod made by Sathrov. And we want to do, let's say I make some of this. So these Crystalix glasses are pretty cool because you can put them down and you can see that they have a bunch of different functions to them, I guess, whatever you want to call it. And you can use this crystal wand to change all of that. So if we take a look inside of our controls category, Crystalix. So the ghost mode allows certain things through the blocks. Kind of confusing. You're going to have to keep referring to this to figure out what to do. But basically, these are pieces of glass that can do all sorts of things. So if we press X, there's reinforcement mode, and we can right click on the glass to reinforce it. Now this is resistant to explosions and withers, so you can actually make that and make like a wither cage or whatever. So we can disable that. What was it? C was the light mode. We need to get rid of that keybind. So you can right click and you can see that these guys give off glow, so they'll give off light. The fake light will let mobs spawn, but it still looks light. And then you can hold shift to apply that on all the connected glasses. What my idea is to use these to set up a little pit, and we can use, I think it was V, we can use ghost mode. So this one allow all. If we do that, you can walk, see I can walk through it. Now I fall through. I can put it on deny player, so the player can walk through, but everything else will fall. My idea is to allow monsters. So monsters will fall through, but nothing else will. And when we spawn the gateway on top of this, the monsters that spawn will fall through the glass. And below, I want to put some spikes. This is a mod I've never played with before. Spiky spikes. But these seem cool. They just do damage on mobs. So the mobs will fall through on top of these spikes and die. And then at the end, when the reward spawns with the cows and the sheep and all of those guys will not fall through the glass and they'll be safe because I want to keep those passive mobs. So that is the idea. And then we'll just put some item collectors on the bottom to collect rewards. So I think that should work pretty good. Instead of killing things manually, we'll just have them drop inside of the pit. And then once we have that set up, we can spam a bunch of the other gateways and get like dungeon loot rewards from this one. And then this one does Nether Fortress loot rolls. So it'll be cool to spam a few of these to see what we get. But anyways, enough talking about that. Let me set up a little area. This might be a little bit resource intensive because the range on these guys is pretty big. So I think my pit will have to be either like 13 by 13 or 15 by 15. And that's going to require a lot of spikes on the bottom. But I did want to kind of try this idea out because I thought it would be cool. So anyways, I'm going to build that and I'll show you guys what I have when I have that. Actually, before that, one more thing. So I don't have flight yet. We'll get flight very soon as we have spider eyes. But before we have that, we can actually get flight from wish.com by making a balloon on a stick. This thing from Zycraft. It just requires a piece of wool. And the way this works is you just put it down and there's a balloon that attaches to you and then it gives you creative flight. The only caveat with this is it has a range. So when you walk out of that range, your balloon explodes and you fall up. But even if you fall into the void, it's not a big deal. You don't die. You just spawn back. There you go. And I'm going to fall. Boop. You don't actually die doing it that way. So I'm going to utilize this to build out a little platform over here. And then I'll show you guys what I have when I have it. All right. I am ready to showcase this build. So let me show you what's going on. So I've made a little 15 by 15 square. And on the inside is a bunch of those spiked things that are going to kill mobs that step on them. On each corner, on the sides, I put Enderman inhibitors. I think that's what it's called. Ender inhibitor active. And those will just prevent any Enderman from teleporting away in an 8-block radius. So they'll when Endermen take damage instead of them teleporting away. So when Endermen fall on top of the spikes and they take damage, they won't be able to teleport away because they'll teleport out onto the platform and, won't be able to kill them. And then underneath let's see. Let me grab my, I didn't really build a great way to get down there. So we're going to have to do something like this. All right, now we can jump down there if we ever need to. And then underneath the platform, so these are all inventory cables on the floor where the spikes are. And I put a bunch of these collectors in here to collect all the loot. And then there's also a trash can down here. So that is essentially the setup of the building. Let's go back up there so I can show you the Super Factory Manager setup. Basically, what's going on is we are going to input all the items from the collectors. So those collectors are on the inventory cables, and the inventory cables come up. So if you take a look at this thing, this is an inventory cable that's facaded. And also down here underneath the chest are inventory cables. And that goes down the wall here, and it connects to all the spikes and then all the collectors on the other side. So what it's going to do is we're going to pick up all the items from the collector. And for those Zycraft collectors, you have to use sides. So I'm just putting top side. And then we're going to use tags to filter armors and tools. That when you enable advanced tooltips and you hover over any item, like let's say a sword, and you hold shift, it'll show you all of the tags that are associated with this item. About a third of the way down, you can see C:tools. And that is a tag that is on all swords, pickaxes, axes, all those things. So by using that tag filter, C tools, we're going to be able to filter for all of those like tools and weapons. And then by using C armors, we'll be able to filter all of the armors that are there. And I have the 2 chests. So one of the chests is going to get the loot. So I'm doing without hashtag C armors. So this basically blacklists armors and tools in the loot chest. And then this whitelists armors and tools in the tools chest. And then I output the rest to the trash just as a failsafe. So if anything ever fills up or we have some issue, then everything will go into the trash can and get voided so we don't have entities backing up in the world that are going to give us problems. And then I wanted to be able to quickly empty out this chest. Like I'm going to go through and pick out the apotheosis items and stuff, or anything that has like good enchantments on it. And then the rest of the stuff I'm going to need to delete. So I went ahead and put another operator here. And this one, every redstone pulse do. So instead of when you do every 26, every second it's going to be executing this code. When you do every redstone pulse do, this is only going to work when you give the manager block a redstone signal. Huh. Another tree capitator. I'm stocking up on those guys. The tree capitators are actually really nice for cutting down trees, getting some wood. So as I was saying before we got interrupted, let me make a button. And put that on top of the manager. Now, let's say I have some cobblestone in here, right? I can press that button and the cobblestone is going to get deleted. And it's going to open up this gate every time, but that's okay. It'll close afterwards. And I'm going to put some stack upgrades in those. So 2 and 2. Now, each slot can hold 16,000 items, which will be good enough for now. All right, so I think we are ready to give this a shot. And these Crystalix blocks, again, I have everything disabled right now, so the mobs aren't going to fall through. That's because I want to get a zombie at first. So let's take a look at the aerial pearl. I'm going to make one of these, and then we'll have to right-click this on a zombie. So I'll do that first, and then we'll change the thing over so the mobs fall through. And let's make the gateway. Did we already make one? We did, okay. All right, so I think we're ready. We are going to make sure this is on allow monster mode, and we can shift click. Let's say if I turn that on, does it also? No. So this one I'm gonna leave on, and then we'll turn this one off. We have to change it to deny all, and then back to allow monster. So I'm gonna, the reason why I did this one different is just so I know where the middle is and I can quickly figure it out and open up the gateway. So that's gonna spawn mobs, and hopefully this platform is big enough. I don't want mobs spawning on top of the walls. And it looks like it's okay. Hey, but oh no, there's that guy. All right, so we did that. We're gonna open that up and they'll all fall through and die. Except for this guy. Unbelievable. Let's go kill him. I don't know what the exact spawning range of the gateways are, but it looks like whatever we have here is not big enough, which is unfortunate. And then this will also drop some items up here, and we're gonna need to pick up those items, but I'll use the JustDireThings collector to do that. But as long as the monsters spawn within, like on top of the glass, this works really well. I am pleased with it. So now that guy's gonna die, and then we'll get a bunch of animals. There it is. Let's grab some milk from these cows. That should be good for now. And I'm actually gonna do a thing with this cow. Let's do the... we want to go down here. We can make a cow in a jar, and this will slowly produce milk over time. So with 1 bucket of milk, we make the jar. And I'm going to put the jar down there. And we also need an anvil. And this is kind of a fun mechanic. And how about a lead? Alright, come here, cow. We're gonna drop this guy on top of the jar in the hole. Get in the hole. No, no. In the hole. Come on. It's gonna be fun, I promise. It doesn't hurt. It's cheap. So now that cow is in the jar and it's gonna produce milk for us over time. And we can close this hole back up. I'll just leave him here for now. These freaking phantoms. It seems like they spawn faster than every 3 days. I've been trying to sleep. Alright, so now we have a bunch of these animals, and you can see the animals didn't fall through. So monsters fell through and died, but the animals are safe, so we can, you know, use them for whatever. And if we take a look in here, we have 11 rotten flesh now. And the first thing I'm going to do is get into JustDireThings, and we need this goo. And the goo is going to give us, we need some blocks of iron. 6 of them, to be exact. And then, I don't know what this goo requires. Let's see. Sugar? Sugar it is. We're going to feed it sugar and then surround this thing with iron blocks. And over time, it's going to slowly... I have shaders on so you don't see the textures, but it's going to slowly convert these blocks of iron into... what's it called? These things. The ferrocore ores. And then we smelt those to get ferrocore ingots, which we can make the JustDireThings item collector. And that will be useful for picking up the items on top, because it's out of range for our other collectors. All right, there goes. Fortune does not matter for these guys, so just break them however you can. By the way, I also upgraded my furnaces to factories now that we have wireless power, and I put some gates on top to power them. So we're no longer using coal, and each furnace has more slots depending on what tier it is. So the higher tiers, the more slots it'll have. But the emerald tier has 6 slots. And I have auto split on, so when I put this on, you can see this is much faster now. All right, so with this, we are going to make, how about 2 of these collectors? And these guys are cool because you can set an offset for where it can pick things up. So we should be able to, let's grab our label gun. So we can label it. And we'll just put this over here, I guess. And make it a 5x5. And so it's over here. We want to go over 2 blocks and go up really high. And we're going to put it down to 1 tick. We do not want it to respect item pickup delay. That doesn't always work really well, but... is this the X or the Y direction? This is, if you look at the bottom of your map, it is the Z direction. And we are going minus in the Z direction. So we'll go minus 2 blocks for that one, and then plus 2 for this guy. Also put him on 1 tick. And go up 8. We don't want to show particles. Alright, let's see if those guys are showing up properly. Wow, look at that. I did it perfectly. So the little like darker purple hue is the center of it. And then this is the size we set, and then you can offset it. So now this is going to pick up items in this area, which will be nice. And we can label those collectors also. Because they should have, yeah, they have, let's try it. We're going to do collectors on these guys and see if they work. So we label them. We're going to go push those labels in our manager. Oh, I died. The heck? There was a bug where when you right-clicked the grave, it would not give you your items back, but that has been fixed in the most recent update. Did I label those as trash? I did, didn't I? So let's throw down some of these eggs. So you can see it's not picking it up. I assume that's because it needs an inventory to output to. Let's also get rid of our death point. So these guys looks like they need an inventory to output to. So we're gonna go up one more on the Y level and put a barrel down, I guess. Instead of falling down every time, I can just set home here, and then we can use the /back command. Okay, so let's push that in there. Everything seems to be working okay. So there it is, and this should be able to output directly to the barrel. And is this the right one? So this one was the minus direction. Yes. We're gonna turn off the render area so we don't have to see that anymore. Go /home. Actually, let's go /back. And now that we can come down here easily, let's check to make sure. Okay, so that one is in the center. Now, if we throw down eggs, they get picked up and they come in here. Perfect. Okay, so that is also set up. Now, let's see what other gateway we can make. How about the Overworldian Knights? We don't have bones, do we? If we sift soul sand, we can get bones. I think I'm going to kill all these mobs. So let's grab our crystal. Oh, we have it here. We are going to set it to allow animals. And those guys are all going to die. And we put it back to allow monster. Let's set up a quick and dirty soul sand automation thing. We're gonna put dirt over here. I guess we can do a 3x3 or a 3 by whatever this is. And grab our mycelial seeds. We'll put some of them down, and we can use the watering can to spread it. All right, let's put a sink over here and a barrel, or not a barrel, a drawer, 1x2 over here. Then we will need barrels. The more mycelial dirt you have near the barrels, the faster it'll give you witch water. So what we want to do is use Super Factory Manager, and we're going to hook everything up over here. These mycelial dirts will also grow mushrooms on them. So if you wanted mushrooms, I would recommend putting the inventory cables on top. That way you allow that to work. So we're going to get mushrooms on this side. I think it'll be okay. I'll just put it in the back so it looks a little bit prettier. All right, super simple. We are going to input water from the sink and output 1 bucket of fluid to each barrel. Then we are going to input sand from the drawer and output 1 to each barrel. And I don't know if that pops it out of the world or... So there you go. This is all filled with water, and you can see it's converting to witch water. And you can see these ones in the middle grow much faster than the one in the end over here because they have access to more witch water. And every time you get witch water, you have a chance to grow some mushrooms. So that's a decent way to get mushrooms. And we're going to need some sand. So let me do the sand. And if we put the sand in there, perfect. So the soul sand is now in the barrels and we just pick that up. So we just pick up the soul sand from the barrel and I'll put that to the drawer. And this is automated soul sand now. So let's go ahead and grab our configurator so we can lock this drawer. And I'm going to get more sand. Actually, we need stack upgrades. So I'll put 2 of those in there and now I can hold a bunch more sand. And we can leave this and it'll continue give us, it'll continually give us soul sand. Now, in order to get bones, that's what we're looking for, right? We need string, flint, iron, or gold. Gold gives us the highest chance. Let's see what mesh we have. We have iron and this is flint, I believe. Yeah, I'll just go with flint, I think. 10% chance, not bad. 4 bones. And nether warts. So now we should be able to make a flight potion as well. Let's see, what were we doing with these bones? The gateway. We'll make 2 of those and let's go see how this works and what we get from it. Dang it. Fall down, skeleton. If I were you guys, I would make it 17 by 17. I might expand it later on too. But so nice. We are getting gems. That means we can start. Let's see if we have any. We don't have any armor yet. We probably won't get any apotheosis armor from these gateways. This is so annoying. You know what I could do? Maybe instead of these walls, we could put some conveyors down. These guys. And we can make slime now. So I think I'll probably do that. We did get this one. So look at that. So we got our first piece of apotheosis tier thing. And we can skip the tutorial. Now we are in the Haven tier. And then if you hover over the Frontier, we want to unlock this to get better and better apotheosis drops. And in order to unlock the Frontier tier, we need to equip a bunch of common stuff. So let's take a look. Common chestplate is not ticked right now, right? But if I take this one and I put it on, then you can see I did a common weapon and chestplate. Did that really count this as a weapon? That's funny. All right, let me convert these over to the conveyors. Actually, what we can do is build an exchanging gadget. That'll make it a little bit easier. I'll just put it in here for now to charge it. Let's grab our exchanging gadget. These guys are cool. I will put him on horizontal row. And we're going to put one of these guys down and shift right click to select that as the block. And, oh, actually, we're going to need to. So we want it to be facing towards us. And do that for all those guys. As well as this one in the corner. And I think, does that nudge them? It doesn't. And then we're going to put it this way. For these guys. This way for these guys. And this way for these guys. This one I can't change because it's an inventory cable. So we'll have to do that. Now when the mobs are here, it'll push them into the spikes. So let's test it out. Oh, come on. By the way, you can also enchant these spikes. Obviously, that's way too many spikes set like that to enchant. You could do something like maybe only use 4 of them. Like maybe only have 4 spikes in the center and then use the conveyors to like push them into those spikes. Or like do 9 of them in the center and push them in the spikes, something like that. But all right, cool. We got this thing that's green. We can put that on. And I think that will count towards an uncommon chest plate. Perfect. I do need the binding card. Did I ever do that? No. So there's the binding card. We want to make a Enderman gateway so we can turn this into a cross-dimensional thing. And I am going to deny all and put it back to allow monster. Let's grab one of the Endermen. So that's now a dimension card. And then open that up. So you can see the Endermen aren't able to teleport away because we have the inhibitors. So not a bad thing. I think if I were to redo this, which I might actually in between episodes, it's a little dark here. I know. Well, oh, you know what we can do is, what was the light mode for this guy? Let's take a look. C is the light mode, so we can have it be on light mode. And now these will emit light. We can get rid of these. These Crystalix glasses are very, very nice. Anyways, let's make that player transmitter. And now we're ready to fix our power situation. And that's going to require a lot of blocks that are going to generate lava for us. I have, instead of using crucibles, I think I'm going to switch over to the fluid drawers. So I've made a stack of fluid drawers, and we're going to need those dripping upgrades. And the way that works is you have these dripping upgrades from functional storage, and you can put up to 3 inside of a fluid drawer, and every 20 ticks, which is 1 second, it'll generate 20 millibuckets of lava. So if you have 3, we get 60 millibuckets of lava every second. And you can see it requires lava buckets, and we're going to need 3 stacks of these guys. We have 3 stacks of the cauldrons now, and it does require lava, and I am pretty sure we can, instead of doing 1 bucket of lava at a time, pretty sure I can grab this, put it on bucket mode. And does this work? Oh, come on. A bunch of crafting later, I have 3 stacks of dripping upgrades and a stack of fluid drawers. Now this is going to be a huge eyesore to set up 64 fluid drawers all over the place. So I'm going to stick them inside of a compact machine. And we should have the ability to make it now that we have slime. Because these compact machines require slime, slime for pistons, sticky pistons. All right, we need a personal shrinking device that's going to help us go in and out of our compact machines. And these compact machines are basically a block that you go inside of, and then it's like a little room that you can set up things in, and it's a different dimension. Based on what ingot or item you put in the middle is different sizes. So the tiny one is just a 3x3. That's going to be way too small. What we want is the netherite ingot. This will give us a 13x13 area to work with. And once we go in there, because it's a different dimension, we won't have access to our wireless terminal. So let's make sure we have everything before we go. I will need my Super Factory Manager cables and the label gun, and we will need a program and a manager. We have our player transmitter. Let's grab our ender cell and these guys. Our platform is back to normal, and we should have everything ready to go. I guess I will still use the buffer. And yeah, I think we're ready. So we're going to place this down somewhere and use our shrinking device to go inside. First thing I want to do is chunk load this, because when we're out of here, we need it to continue to work. And I should have grabbed a wand, but oh well. Here's a little 8x8 that will house all of our fluid drawers. I miscalculated, I guess, but anyways. Then we can put those in there, and you can see these are producing lava now. Those guys are all going and producing lava. Now, all we have to do is place our magmators down. And our manager block somewhere over there. And then we will put our ender cell here. And I want the player transmitter to be not touching things. So I'll put the player transmitter over there. We take our binding card and right click it. So now this is going to be bound to me. And we're going to put it in there, and it'll basically just power everything in our inventory. And I guess this guy we can just put over here too. So let's write our Super Factory Manager code. This will be very easy. First, I'm going to handle power. And with power in Super Factory Manager, you can do every tick, whereas all the other resource types, your minimum is going to be 20 ticks. So we're going to input power from the magmators, and we're going to first output that to the ender cell. And then we're going to output the rest to the player transmitter. The reason I'm doing it this way is first we want to output it to the ender cell. That way all of our power goes for our machines and our applied energistics and all of that. And then whatever leftover we have will go into the player transmitter. If I had it the other way, or if I put the player transmitter touching the ender cell, then it's going to pull the power from here, and this one will be prioritized. And while this is filling up, it's going to make our applied energistics power down, and we'll have power issues. So I'm going to make sure this is always full before this gets filled up. And then we just have to handle the lava. So we will input the fluid from the drawers, and we will output 4,000 to each magmator. And I guess we don't really need this guy. I mean, this is 64 buckets. That's basically just 2 drawers. So these drawers themselves have enough of a buffer on the inside. Once they fill up. So right here is our player transmitter, our magmators, our ender cell, and our drawers. And now these guys are producing tons of power. Oh man. Are we still not going to have enough lava production? It's not pulling from these other ones yet. So hopefully we have enough lava production. We'll see. It seems to be okay so far. So this is full, and now it's filling the player transmitter. And if you take a look at our crafting terminal, this is full of power now. So we never have to worry about that again. Double check. We did claim those chunks, and we just right click on this guy and we come out. And now we can break this and put it in our system because we don't really need it anymore. And this too. We should be able to upgrade this actually. There's the Blaze Goo one. And then we need Dragon's Breath. So we'll do that later. With this upgraded Blaze Bloom Goo, we can now make the experience collector and add that to our farm. So let's do that real quick before we leave. All right, we're gonna mine these just like the iron ones and smelt them down. And we can make this experience holder. We need a couple books. And this can store all of our experience for us. And it can also pick up from the mob farm. So I will go ahead and place it over here, and we can dump all of our experience in there. And if we open this up, we should be able to go right there, which is the center. And we will increase the Y by 1 and then increase this all the way. And now we just go lower. And that should be good enough to pick up the experience from there. And we can decrease this so it picks it up a little bit faster. Turn on collect experience, and this should be good to go. Now, when we run our gateways and stuff, it'll also hold the experience inside of here. I think that's where I'm going to leave it for this episode. So we just, set up a little mob farm area thing, which I will improve on between episodes so we don't have the issue of mobs spawning outside of it. And then, yeah, we fixed our power issue. So finally, now that we have reliable power that we can use wherever we want wirelessly by just putting those gates on there, on machines or whatever, we can go ahead and automate sifting, and all those things in the next episode. That's going to be it from me today. Thank you guys so much for watching and all the support for this series. All the comments have been really kind, and I appreciate that. Anyways, thank you, and I'll see you in the next one.